Hello, this is Ujjwal and welcome to another video tutorial on my YouTube channel. Today we will be creating this card from start to finish using heat embossing and ink blending techniques. So for this particular card, I will be using the Heartfelt Creations Peacock Paisley stamp set. It's a beautiful design, kind of like an henna design. And to start with, I'm going to use the EKSuccess Powder tool to rub powder all over my cardstock so that the embossing powder sticks only to the places I want it to. Next, I used the Versamark ink and I am stamping the pattern onto the white cardstock. Now I'm using some Ranger's gold embossing powder and I will sprinkle it all over the cardstock, and it will stick to the areas where I stamped with the clear embossing ink. And you can see that since I rubbed the surface with the powder tool, the powder is sticking only to the areas that I wanted it to. Next, we are going to heat set the powder so that it sticks to the surface. And now it's time to do some ink blending. So for ink blending, I'm using two different shades of green. I have Hickory Smoke, I think. I will link to the correct names of the distress inks on the screen somewhere. And the other one that I have is Bundled Sage. So I wanted the areas where my pattern is to be brighter and the rest of the areas to be a bit lighter, and that is why I chose a bright shade of green and then a dull shade of green. And the trick to getting the perfect blended background is, first of all, use very little ink. Don't put a lot into your blending tool, and second is to apply very little pressure. You can see that I am just rubbing very lightly onto the surface, no pressure, not applying any kind of pressure at all. And once you keep working it, you will get that perfect blended ink in the background. So I went ahead and heat embossed two more patterns onto white cardstock using the same stamp set, and now I'm using some distress inks to watercolor in the stamped images so that I can cut them out later and use them to add some dimension onto the card. So here I'm using pickled raspberry, I'm using dried marigold, and I'm using mustard seed. And I will just quickly use my water brush and color in the areas that I want to cut out. If you do not have a water brush, you can use a regular paintbrush and some clean water to color in your images. And also, if you do not want to use distress inks to color, you can use your regular watercolors to color the images. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue coloring the areas that I want. I'm going for a very bright color scheme for this card, and I think it came out really well together at the end. So now I have colored both of my images, and I'm going to take my scissors and cut this out. So now I have all my pieces cut out and ready to go on the card, and that is when I realized that I've run out of dimensional adhesive. So I'm using some craft foam that I had on hand, and I'm just cutting out small pieces of it and using my Tombow liquid glue to stick it onto the fuzzy cut pieces, and I'm just going to go ahead and adhere everything onto the card panel. Next, when I saw this panels, I thought it looked pretty incomplete and very empty. So I decided to do some more heat embossing on the empty areas. And again, I used the same process. I stamped it with clear embossing ink and then sprinkled some gold embossing powder and then heat set it. And that made it look pretty complete. Next, I am going to go ahead and adhere this onto my card base. I chose a color that was close to burnt sienna. The cardstock is from Tim Holtz paper pack. And now I'm going to just keep a book again on top and make sure that everything is fixed right onto the cardstock. For the sentiment, I wanted something for the center, and I just rushed through everything, but I did not find a stamp that would fit into that area. So I went ahead and cut out this little tag piece from one of the paper collections. I think it is from Majestic Morning. And then because it was looking too plain, I wanted to add that gold detail to it. So I'm taking the cutout and just dipping the edges into that ink pad, clear embossing ink pad, and now I'm going to sprinkle some gold embossing powder on it. It would be a good idea to hold that with a tweezer or something so that your hands are not everywhere. And I just use a dry brush and removed the excess and then heat set it, and now I have a sentiment that matches the whole look of the card. So again, I used some foam adhesive and I just attached it, adhered it to the card with some liquid glue, and I'm going to put some weight on it so that it stays put and dries out real nicely. And that is all. So this card was mostly kind of directly onto the camera, and I did not have I just thought it through as I went with it, so it's not really well planned, but I loved how it came out. So thank you for watching today, and if you like the video, if you like watching my videos, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can click on the video here in the on the screen to watch how I created that beautiful watercolor scene. It was one of my previous videos, and I hope to see you soon again. Thank you so much. Have a great day.